Hello, my name is Maya, and my student voice presentation is on the ethics of photojournalism and how it shapes public perception. Photojournalism is a form of journalism that uses photographs to tell a news story. Photojournalists capture and convey news events, human interest stories, social issues through the lens of a camera. And the goal of photojournalism is to provide a visual representation of the news. And it is important because of how powerful it can be in evoking strong emotional responses and creating awareness. These images can influence public opinion, prompt action, and serve as a historical record of significant events. And these are just two very famous examples of photojournalism, and each one gained the world's attention to the atrocities that were happening in Vietnam and Sudan. And these two moments in history may not have had the same impact on the world if they were simply described in writing. There is a very strict code of ethics when it comes to photojournalism, and this code of ethics serves to guard against the spread of misinformation and protect the subjects that are captured. So photojournalists should always be accurate in the representation of subjects, provide context, avoid presenting one's own biases, and should never intentionally influence events or manipulate images that can mislead viewers. And just like with print journalism, media literacy skills are essential. We should recognize that photos can be manipulated, edited, and deceptive without context. And we can learn to question and analyze photos to determine their credibility. Take, for example, this article from NBC News talking about how a Reuters photographer was fired for altering the images to add smoke and make it look darker. And edits like this may seem small, but it is still changing the reality of the situation, and it is therefore misleading and false. And this is a photo from 2017 of a woman walking by a terrorist attack victim while looking at her phone. And this photo was the source of widespread alt-right backlash and countless Islamophobic posts online due to what was perceived as her being completely indifferent to the incident. And it was initially tweeted with this caption and by what was later discovered to be a Russian troll account. And the reality of the situation was far different. The woman was simply fleeing the scene of the attack, and the photographer said in an interview that she was clearly traumatized, visibly distressed, and she was trying to avoid looking at the horror surrounding them, as you can see in this second photo from the incident showing the woman visibly distressed. Another example are these photos that got Brian Walsky, an LA Times photographer, fired. He was covering the war in Iraq, and he admitted that he had combined elements of two photographs taken moments apart in order to improve the composition. And in altering these images, he told a different story from reality to gain some more shock value, as the final image is much more dramatic. One last example I wanted to discuss was this photo taken of a man throwing a lit tear gas canister. This was taken in 2014 during the protests in Ferguson, Missouri, and a lot of people really demonized this picture and the subject, Edward Crawford, because they believed that he was throwing the gas canister at police. But the reality of the situation was made public when Crawford told CNN, quote, "Before the photo was taken, the canister was shot and it landed a couple of feet away from me and some children standing on the sidewalk. I was not throwing the canister at the police, I was merely getting the canister away from me and the kids." So really, in the end, we must remember that bias is inherent in photography because we are only seeing what the photographer chose to show us. So that is why we must always practice media literacy skills like the ones we learned in this class, because it is the most effective way to avoid being fed false information. And these are my references. Thank you.